Good afternoon and welcome to the webinar Datadriven Reporting. I'm a moderator, Tauri Talerma, and I try to get you more understanding and easy to understand what will happen here. I introduce the next speakers, and we have a lot of speakers here, and we are not a lot of time. We have some 2 hours and some minutes. It means that we have to rush, and a lot of information about how the private companies can have all this reporting and what kind of threats there could be, and how its projects going in Estonia or in Nordic countries and Europe. We will be more detailed information about how is the public sector is already working, and what opportunities have the private sector. But we also will introduce some running project Internet of Business, would get more help to entrepreneurs to do this data-driven reporting. But when I introduce you next with first speaker, some technical details. I hope you get everything ready and you have all the computer and you can see and you have good listening. But take a paper and pen to make notes, because maybe you have some questions you want to ask something. We try here all the questions what you will send to us to the speakers, try to solve and answer to the questions. But if you don't have time, don't worry. We will get all the answers, and we will send it in the email after the session and after the webinar. Hopefully, you get enough information, and you can relax that everything is okay. And during the next period, 7 years probably. But also slides, the speakers have the presentations. Also, all you who are attending this webinar at the moment will get this slides or this presentation, the email. That's everything. You don't have to make a lot of notes, but if you have any questions, please ask this side of Slido, and there will be a link. You will see it where you can, or also in the website was the question, was the link about this Slido website. But now we are ready to start, and I have a chance to introduce the first speaker, who will make the opening and have a great big picture about all this data-driven reporting in the real economy. And Margus Tammeraja, and is like a visionary in Estonia. But I'm glad to ask him to make the first presentation, but like introducing all this webinar. And Margus, we will get the now stage is yours.
Hello, this is Margus Tammeraja, Chairman of the Board of Association of Estonian Accountants. And today we are going to discuss what exactly is one very important component of real-time economy. We as an accountants see that moving from traditional reporting to data-driven reporting is something what helps to implement all the ideals of real-time economy. As the accountants, we like to calculate all the costs related to accountancy and what will be the cost savings. For instance, in Estonia, it is about 100,000 VAT obligatory companies, which means that there is about 13,300 accountants who take care of the accounting for the companies. We can say that the estimated total cost of accounting is about 210 up to 270 million euros per year. And this is about 0.7 up to 0.9% of GDP, which is pretty significant amount. What can be done with the help of automation? We can see that it's about an estimate 30 up to 60 million euros, which can be saved. And also, we can say that all the automation and cross-border deals can actually help exporting accounting services in approximately a volume 20 to 25 million euros. So future of reporting. So real-time economy actually is about connecting citizens, businesses, public sector entities, and all the transactions should be in a standardized and automatic structured view. So all this would help to complete all the transactions nearly in real time without any kind of store and forward processes, which is traditionally in the picture right now. And one very important component for this real-time economy is data-driven reporting. Data-driven reporting does actually mean that the postings data instead of aggregated data will be used for reports. And the aggregations are typically done half manually, half automized. And the accountants deal a lot with these aggregations every week, every month. For instance, as I said, 100,000 VAT reports have to be handed over every month. And if we could actually hand over the data, the transactional data, the postings data, then we do not actually need to deal with the traditional reporting anymore. The basic assumption is that everybody uses universal taxonomies, everybody. And this universal means that everybody uses the same kind of classification registers, classification groups, and so on in their accounting in all companies all over. So in Estonia, there is a project called Reporting 3.0. Estonian Statistic Board, Andres Kuke will be talking about this in a minute. But for accountants, what does it mean? Actually, we have to have some kind of a standard in place. And what we found out a couple of years ago is that XBRL, which is Extended Business Reporting Language, which was used for annual reporting, then if you want to get into the details of annual reports, you need to get on the level of transactions. And accounting postings or global ledger is the extension of this XBRL GL language. So basically, it's a representation of detailed data in a standardized way. So we can actually integrate this business reporting supply chain and bring it down to the transactional level. So this transactional data is actually pretty simplistic in its basic form. The unified format to be used for capturing all the details of all accounting postings can be categorized into three main groups. All accounting entries do have headers, and do have headers for instance, taxes, VAT, and of course, every accounting transaction contains of rows, specific debits and credits and amounts associated. The most easy way to see what we're talking about is to look at the invoice. Invoice with invoice header, VAT total, invoice rows. And all the accountants definitely know what is the posting in the general ledger of their accounting system. Basically, it contains of header and accounting rows with debits and credits and amounts and so on. So if all accounting systems could produce those accounting postings of transactions in a unified format, then we could actually hand over to the authorities these records instead of traditional aggregated reports. The most important factor here is actually the data quality. So how do the companies, the accountants, guarantee that all the nitty-gritty details are captured properly in this detailed system? So if we do not use standardized classifications, it is impossible to do. So the basic assumption is that everybody is using the standardized classifications, items, lists, and the authorities will keep track on updates for all those classification items and lists. For instance, if we look at the register of employees, then those employees have professions, and those professions are specific codes in the register. And such codes should be used all over. So for everyday accounting, the ERP packages, the accounting software, should actually update from the public sources all the classification registers. So if, for instance, EU starts collecting some specific details for some specific transactions which come via accounting, and publishes new classification items or even new classification lists, then this comes via a statistic board and is publicized via technical solutions to all ERPs which are connected to this publication possibility. And the next important thing is that all the accounting software should actually use universal controls for standard data fields. So basically, if I'm entering accounting posting, debiting or crediting some specific account, and this transaction represents something which is interesting for statistics or tax authorities or other governmental institutions, then I should also add all the classification items required. And for this need, my accounting package should support the universal control for standard data fields. What actually happens if we start collecting all the nitty-gritty details, then we have a total data abundancy. For instance, if you imagine how the electronic invoices are sent and what kind of data we receive when we get the electronic invoice, then there is a lot of details on the row level, and all those details are sometimes not important for the company's accounting. But what if we still save all those details and forward those details into our accounting postings? On the transactional level, then we have a lot of details whenever needed in the future, whenever forwarded for the reporting, forever forwarding for third-party reasons. Then we have all these details. So basically, we are already living in data abundance world right now if we consider all those videos or whatever data is gathered by billions of people all around the world. So basically, accounting data is just a mere fraction of this data. See what is around us. And if we have this data ready, then we can reuse the data already created and received. So basically, what we would like to derive to is the once-only principle of data entry all over the companies. So if one company issues an invoice to the other company and has entered all the detailed data for invoice rows, then the receiver should not get rid of these details, but maybe it can be used in the recycling moment whenever these row items are sold or recycled. Then we have all the details still there in our accounting system in one standardized, structurized way, can be used for any purposes. So basically this means that if we are moving towards a cycling economy or circular economy, then we can share the data meaningfully. And from academic viewpoint, it's super important that if we set those standards, if we set all those rules around those standards, that everybody, all the companies, all accountants, all entrepreneurs will start using this system in the same way. And only then real-time economy can have consistent data flows in all over economy. I'd say that this data quality is so important that I would like to talk about this even more and more and more, but my time is going to be ending now. And if there are any questions, then I think there will be questions forwarded to us, to the panelists. So I'm thanking you and wish you a nice seminar.
So as you see, the first session, there is three speakers we are going to listen. But as Margus said, that if you have any questions, we have in the end of this webinar, we have discussions and panel discussions, and there is probably we'll have we get everything answered what's in our mind. Even I, at the moment, when I listened, Margus had questions about accounting, accountants, about entrepreneurs, and but okay, write down your questions and send it by the email or a Slido website. But at the moment, we are going further, and there will be, as you saw, the first speaker, Sirli Heinso, about the real-time economy vision 2020 and 2027, the next 7 years, and what will happen. Sirli has already 4 or 5 years experience in this field, in this real economy field, and when the first project got financed, funded here in Estonia, that let's give Sirli a chance to explain the next future, what will happen, and the common view about this Datadriven reporting. Please, Sirli.
Hello, I'm Sirli Heinso, Real-Time Economy Project Manager at the Estonian Ministry of Economic Affairs and Communications since the end of last year, 2019. But since 2016, yes, I have led the coordination of the Internet of Business project at Estonian Association of Information Technology and Telecommunications. Today, I will present the vision of the real-time economy 2020 to 2027 in Estonia that has been created in a joint cooperation between the private and public sectors. Additionally, I will give some overview about the initiatives in EU. As the president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, has said that the European strategy for data aims to ensure that the EU becomes a role model and a leader in a data-driven society. To this end, the EU intends to create a single market for data with a truly functioning European data space, to make unused data available, allowing it to move freely within the European Union and across sectors for the benefit of businesses, researchers, and administrations. Estonia's public and private sector organizations agree business data must move across borders and sectors in an ambitious and machine-readable form, and as realistic or real-time as possible. Real-time economy is already part of the Government of the Republic of Estonia's Action Plan 2019 to 2023. It can be said that the implementation of the concept of real-time economy has already begun in the whole EU. Estonia, together with the Nordics and Baltics, have taken joint international and national steps towards real-time economy. In the future, we want to systematically and thoughtfully implement the real-time economy as a cross-sectoral and cross-border concept, which is why the Ministry, in cooperation with representatives of ministries, associations, and private sector, have developed a real-time economy vision. A little bit about the background. RTE concept was first developed in Finland in 2005. First actions towards real-time economy in Estonia started 2016 by Estonian Association of Information Technology and Communications. And from the ministry side, the first real-time economy working group was established in 2018. And from the end of 2019, the ministry began to be more active in promoting and implementing real-time economy. Being an entrepreneur today means doing a lot of administrative support activities in addition to doing business, such as reporting to the state, other paperwork, time-consuming accounting processes, and so on. The real-time economy allows everything to be turned into more automatic and background activities. That is, the technical form, not the content of the data, and the way it is entered, transmitted, exchanged will be changed. Thus, we move from paper and PDF-based documents and reports to machine-readable data that will be exchanged automatically and based on the consent of the entrepreneur directly from their systems to the state. By this, we mean not only accounting software, but also warehousing systems, supply chain, and other softwares that supports the company's business processes. It is also important to emphasize that the validity of the data protection rules remains the same and the compliance becomes more effective. To create the vision, the ministry procured a concept-creating study. As a result of the study, the ecosystem of the real-time economy visible on the slide was described, according to which the transition to the real-time economy requires important core infrastructure. For example, structured business data, universal standards, supportive IT infrastructure, and legal framework. The benefits of the real-time economy for business, the public sector, and the citizens were highlighted. The study also identified key obstacles, including lack of understanding of the real-time economy, lack of resources for investment, organizations' reluctance to change or fear, data quality issues, outdated systems, legal obstacles. Potential risks identified include cybersecurity, data leaks, and over-standardization. The activities of the work plan in the vision of the real are aimed to overcoming the above obstacles and preventing and mitigating highlighted risks. As a vision of the real-time economy, we want to implement a structural change in the administration and management of the company by improving data quality through standardization and applying digital technologies, including AI and blockchain technologies, to automate operations. In the vision, we do not propose anything completely new or revolutionary, but rather innovative improvements to the existing ecosystem to take advantage of today's technical possibilities, such as improving the reporting to the state, the capacity of receiving and analyzing of data by public authorities. The transition will not happen overnight. Depending on the field and sector and their needs, the right pace and relevant and up-to-date targets need to be chosen. It is also important to emphasize that using real-time economy solutions does not cut off the company, state, or institutions from the solutions previously used. Thus, it is easy to convert machine-readable data into paper or PDF documents if necessary, and vice versa, if your international partner is not yet at the same technological level as you are. To implement the vision, 3 main directions for actions have been created. Creating the technical capabilities for the real-time economy, regulating and supporting the transition to real-time economy in cooperation between the private and public sectors, and third, cross-border cooperation in the Baltic Sea region and EU level. These lines of action are based on common strategic sub-objectives across sectors. The sub-objectives show the projects and initiatives that we have currently on the table. The sub-objectives are the wider use of e-invoices, e-receipts, e-waybills, the transition to data-driven reporting, the cross-border standardization of product and service information, and the controlled, trustworthy sharing of business data. In addition, piloting new innovative solutions and active cross-border cooperation. If we look at the wider scope of EU principles and strategy papers, the real-time economy supports the EU-wide digital single market. It is a strategically important part of the EU data economy and uses the same tools as the initiatives to achieve their goals, such as common data exchange standards, platforms, semantic standards, etc. In addition, the real-time economy shares horizontal values with mentioned activities. The objectives and deadlines set out in Real-Time Economy Vision are in line with the action plan created in the Nordic Smart Government project, the real-time economy related project developed and run by the Nordics, which we will hear more about in the next presentations. Digino is a unique network for innovative solutions in public and private cooperation to speed up the process towards the Baltic Sea region digital single market. For example, KYC, ECMR, and e-receipt have begun from this project. Also, some national initiatives in Finland, for example, in Finland, Netherlands, and Denmark, where Finland was has the world's first academic competence center dedicated to real-time economy. Under Digino project, we have already started to map the activities and timeline for Baltic Sea region, in general RTE, e-invoicing, and e-receipt, where we can see that most of the countries have planned to achieve most of the goals starting from 2022. So we are pretty much in the same timeline. And to the end of my presentation, I would just like to give brief ideas what kind of opportunities we can have when we have the real-time economy in place. So, for example, the implementation of the real-time economy ensures that all entrepreneurs gain time in terms of communication with the state and fulfillment of obligations. Business-to-business transactions are automated, data quality has improved, and cross-border cooperation is easier. In real-time economy, annual reports and monthly declarations are not required, at least not in a traditional way. Tax accounting principles can be changed. For example, VAT billing can be a real-time background activity. Companies can easily share their company data with their partner on request to be trustworthy and make business quicker. Today's accountants have become financial advisors or financial managers who can provide valuable advice based on adequate financial information, thanks to high-quality data and innovative technologies that are able to work together to produce highly accurate economic forecasts. And the entrepreneur can spend more than 90% of his time in the core business. In e-commerce, the report required for customs and tax operations has already been prepared at the time of the cross-border transaction and sent to customs to avoid duplication of data entry and time-consuming control processes at the border crossing point. More efficient, high-quality, and automated anti-money laundering processes are in place due to the real-time availability of information. And for example, the combination of real-time technologies, the customer can track the entire product supply chain to make more responsible decisions. So, in real-time economy, all administrative and empty work is automatic and background process. To have more quality time for people to invest in new products and services, but also to spend more time with their family or just enjoying life in a hammock. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. It was very detailed and a very good overview about all these threads. But in my mind, when I'm listening to you and you spending more time with your family, I have this one family member trying to distract me at the moment, but I'm trying to avoid. But maybe if we will go over the real-time economy, then we're just playing with our dogs and relatives. But everything, it's not just reporting or accounting system. It's giving data. Another thing is collect data, statistics. And there is a good chance to give the next speaker over the microphone. And Anders Kukke is talking about reporting 3.0 and about the statistics, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Anders Kukke. I am from Estonia, specifically from Statistics Estonia. And today my intention is to give you an overview about reporting 3.0. Let me start saying that reporting 3.0 is not just an idea or any future plan. This is a solution that actually works. So it's a real thing, and I'm a person who likes very much the practical approach. So how we got started? It was actually 5 years ago when Estonian government created a program, and the program was called Zero Bureaucracy. And what it means was aimed to provide for private sector the possibility that they should have a minimum and possible obligation and duties related with government. And one of those duties is always to give information back to government. So in aim of on that the government can fulfill their own roles. And moving on from here, one of the topics is to answer any of questioners. In other words, to provide data for statistics. And if we're looking this for government or business perspective, when the business users, they are not willing to go on our portal and filling the forms, any of forms, because it consumes the time. And we're not willing to do any additional task. And for business perspective, we're willing to have possibilities, but the same data can be used in different parties. And also companies, they are waiting, but if they are giving some information, that they can get something back. And we as a statistic office, we can give information back, an example to compare the company with different focus groups. So in summarizing that the principal idea of reporting 3.0 is very easy. No human interaction between the company who is offering ERP software or accounting software and the government. And the data which will be sent from company to government at the same time, it's very important that each institution in government will have the same version of data. And if you're talking about the real time, it actually means at the moment that the data can be sent on daily basis or on monthly basis. For statistic office, we are producing statistic once per month. So it's even enough to send this information once per month. And here you can see the summary about the benefits. As I said before, that there is one of the benefits that all data can be sent directly, so there are no manual or duties related to go on our portal. And one of the important benefits is that if government is changing laws, and it's actually happens, when entrepreneurs we should not do anything change, but we as a government, we do the changes. An example, if there are new taxes or the new forms or new classifications, that we can aggregate those data, and companies should not do anything. Also, if we take information, we're not willing to take all information, only this information which is needed, so in minimum and aggregated way. And also, if we take some information, examples of information or tax information, there are various questionnaire forms. And we can fulfill those if we get data at once, we can fulfill many of those forms at with one data delivery. And as Markus pointed out, it's very important to have the same taxonomy. But if we're looking over the world, that in different topics, we have a different taxonomies. An example, sales or purchase, there is products involved. But if we're looking at product classifications, there are different classifications all over the world. There are EU-owned classification, there are United Nations own classification, there are OECD-owned classification. And if we're trying both to harmonize or to get information without harmonizing, when companies should relate their own classification or own product with different classification. And we will see as the government that we should harmonize, and we did it in Estonia. So we harmonized all those 4 classifications and merged them into one classification. So the company now has only duty to do mapping between one classification and their own internal classification. As I said, this is a practical thing, and where we are at the moment, or what is working at the moment. Currently, we have we have put into work the first stage, and it means that the information about the salary wages can be sent into Statistica Estonia. And there are more than 7,000 companies who are included into these forms, and they should have this obligation. But now they can do it from their own software system, so they should not go to any other portals to fulfill these forms. And as you can see, in this report, I just took a screenshot about this form. But there are a lot of cells and information which should be inserted manually. And information that what companies should now send for us is we just made the data model, and as you can see, here is 32 data elements. Some of those you can see that there is in the end of a line you can use the axis. That means that this is not a free field text or it's numeric text. It's a classification. So it belongs some kind of taxonomy, and in those data fields where it's needed, that company will do the data mapping. And going more practically, if in audience somebody is more technical, here you can see the data model, the data transformation as said before, the format or the standard that we use is XBRL, global ledger, and in technical perspective, it's kind of XML file with the own headers and the own things. And the data format is a JSON format. And in the end, if we're getting this file and parsing that file, we're getting 5 different data tables, which we can from which we can find the necessary information. And sorry, let's take one step back. Yes, and if somebody are willing to know more about the architecture that we created, and here is a picture just describing briefly and giving the overview about this architecture. And this first stage is in entrepreneurial side. That means that they have some kind of ERP software. It can be hosted in cloud as well. And they have duties over creating the file itself, to map this file against the taxonomy, which is provided by government. Which is a line in below that they can read. Our taxonomy is in machine readable format. And of course, there is needed some kind of error and log handling if they are sending the files. There should be some logs should be kept that they can control later. Where yes, file was sent in this time and by this user. In the middle, we use the X route. This is Estonian famous, let's say, the data transportation layer that's unified, has their own standard, and the companies can authenticate themselves, and this file will be sent as an attachment. And there is also what is important that this transportation layer are doing the first level structure control. But if we're sending the file, that there will be fields which is necessary. It will be controlled. So if there is some error, the user will get this error message immediately. And the third point is government side or institutional side. So it's and in this example, this is a statistical office in Estonia. So we're getting a file, we're parsing this file, and we do our own error handling, because even if there is some column, but we can control the logic, the business logic. And of course, we're sending this data further to our own database system, where all those fields will be filled. As I said, we have it's working, but we're not finalized, or its project is not finished yet. The first stage, as I told, was to get information about personal salaries, wages, and labor hours. But currently, the stage 2, we are working to getting information about to export and import for foreign trade. And as I mentioned, there was this product classification, which was necessary for this task. And when we go next year about informations which are not coming, not anymore profit and loss statement, are more related with assets or balance sheet. And as we look first focus the questionnaires, which will be filled monthly, when we move on quarterly and annual questionnaires. And of course, there are some stage 5, an example, there is some specific areas or industries like agriculture or environment or fuel energy. There is a special questionnaires that we need special information. An example, which type of fuels was used, how much we're purchasing fuels, and so on. So we are, as you can see in our plan, that all this information should be ready or should be structured in next year, at the end of next year. And of course, there are a lot of which going on. And I will summarize that that if you have also the same initiatives in your country, or you're thinking, or you have also some plans, then according our practice, that I would like to point out maybe 3 key aspects that what are very important in this project. First of all, it's all about cooperation. We thought at the moment or in the beginning that we should cooperate for private companies and for our institution, but we almost forget it, that there are software vendors and software companies which providing the software by through that with data flows, so we can we should cooperate. Secondly, the data quality and the harmonized classifications, they are very important. And as I mentioned, the problem is that even in government sector, even in between the different institutions, there is a different classifications. And for user perspective, actually, there is no need to know the differences among those taxonomies, as I gave this example related with product taxonomy. So we need just one classification, and that's a duty for governments. And last but not least, I think the communication is also a key issue, because even this program in Estonia, it's active, I think, more than 5 years. We still found the persons or companies who haven't heard anything about these initiatives. So if you need any reference or more practice, you can contact with us. We are ready to share this information. And I think that's all from my side so far. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Andres, from the statistic office side. And I can just imagine, honestly said, I can't imagine how much data unit, data piece of unit you're collecting there, and how do you manage them and provide entrepreneurs with this different kind of reports. But if it's going in real time, it's probably or hopefully will be much easier, faster, and even more better quality. But at the moment we are going, we are in rushing. We need to rush a bit because we are short on time, and we're going to the Nordic countries. We are very glad to and honored to ask next presentation to talk about the Nordic countries, Nordic Smart Government 3.0. And then thank you in advance that you asked Estonians also to participate in these projects, and hopefully in the future will be more cooperation. But Mats Bielke Damgaard, the screen is yours, and we are interested to listen about this Nordic side and Nordic experiences.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. And first of all, I should say, Program Manager of Nordic Smart Government, Shasti Lunde, sends her apologies. She also sends me to talk about our roadmap for realizing a Nordic Smart Government ecosystem. So my name is Mads Damgaard. I'm a PhD and a project manager here at the Danish Business Authority. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about our vision with the roadmap, the challenges of the SMEs and the principles for solving those challenges. I'm going to talk about how we're going to solve it, what the roadmap kind of lays out in the future and the solutions we suggest, when we're going to do it, and who are in this collaboration in the Nordics. So now I try to click one ahead. It's working, fantastic. To us, it's about value creation for the SMEs. In a data-driven real-time economy, there's much to gain for our businesses, for our small and medium-sized entrepreneurs. Making data accessible and usable for them will be a huge benefit. And our roadmap has just been approved by the Nordic Ministers of Trade and Industry. So we are very happy to fourth phase. I'm going to talk about the plans that were laid out in the third phase. To us, just like for Sirli and for Andres and Marcus, it's all about structured data. The roadmap sees that, first of all, if we increase the use of structured business data, this will provide high quality data, just like Marcus talked about. That's the cornerstone, it's the foundation that we build everything on top of. And high quality data will enable new, better services. It will enable innovation. It will make life simpler and easier with those services and innovation for the SMEs. And it will also serve the authorities. So this is a very wordy slide. I'll just give you the highlights. The Nordic SMEs, just like I think in the rest of Europe and in the rest of the Nordic and Baltic Sea region, the Nordic SMEs, they're quite digital, but they still face a lot of challenges. And those challenges, they have to do with paper and manual processes and tedious administrative work and uncertainty in relation to government reporting and compliance. So, cutting this short, we've collected a lot of testimonials from SMEs across the region, and we came up with some principles to guide our work in solving those challenges and problems. I'll not go into detail with these principles, but it involves being interoperable. It involves the EU once-only principle, the idea of moving data seamlessly, the idea of having full data ownership for the SMEs. It's their data. We're talking about structured business data, should always be owned by the companies that created that data. And you can go and have a look at our website to explore more of these principles. The reason we put these principles first is that we are working quite user-centric. we think it all starts from the SMEs in a sense and their needs. So we made this roadmap into a strategic plan. It kind of outlines the areas we're going to work on, how we're going to coordinate those areas, and the overall capabilities, like the architectural, technical, and legal problems that we're going to deal with in the implementation phase. It's agile. We know it's going to change because that's how IT works, right? You can't plan everything out 7 years ahead. And we know also that it's, as I think Andreas remarked, it's all about cooperation, collaboration, and co-creation with the private sector. The business systems, accounting systems, especially also the fintech sector, the banking industry, etc. There's lots of players in the field of structured business data, and we want all of those to contribute, to gain value, and to, of course, serve the end user, the SMEs. Here we have an enormous diagram, but it's really simple. We see that 6 technical areas will help serve 6 solution areas. So, for instance, getting a higher adoption of electronic business documents, such as the invoices and receipts that Silly just mentioned, that will help the SMEs having smoother trade processes, buying and selling, purchasing. And another example would be having simplified reporting would make life easier for those SMEs. So in the bottom left, you see the technical capability areas, and the top right, you see the goals of the vision, where we're aiming at. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But just to make clear, it's not about governments making a hell of a lot of digital infrastructure. It's also about aligning what we have, aligning the developments we've already started, and again, getting in dialogue with private sector actors and agreeing on standards, coordinating, aligning where needed, sharing where we can, and helping each other in the Nordics and quite possibly with the rest of the Baltic Sea region, helping each other learn. Sharing knowledge, I think, is going to be key in the 4th phase. Indeed, it was in NSG 3, the 3rd phase. So that's just a big bucket list of things we know we have to do. So it's going to be exciting, challenging, and it's certainly going to be a collaborative joint venture. Here I have a list of the solution areas, what you saw on the top right corner before. If we get digital business documents, if we get higher adoption of those documents, e-invoices, e-receipts, e-orders, etc., that should give us high quality data. And the structure for digital business documents can also carry product information, which will make a lot of things machine readable. If, let's see, we can make sure that this is flowing seamlessly between systems and services with better interoperability and with open accounting principles. Of course, we also need to think of data sharing with consent here. Again, it's the users, the SMEs, that should be in control of their data and who to share with. And all of this should kind of enable an ecosystem where governments can also benefit. But again, we should take the simple path and make simplified reporting wherever possible. And we as governments, I think, also need to give something back that is reliable, high quality data on the basic facts relating to our business populations, so that we can have fully automated processes, B2B, and kind of instill trust in the market. These are some of the quite ambitious milestones that we set out. We want to set up quite soon an advisory board who will help us pick the right paths in the roadmap in each country and jointly in the Nordics. And then we're looking into increasing the adoption of business documents that are digital, and looking at how can we achieve better interoperability. And as we come down the line, we see some goals related to the uptake of these interfaces and these documents. And hopefully by the end, we are supporting the Nordic Prime Minister's ambition of having a fully integrated region. This will also help in the green transition. Now I'm kind of branching out. We know that financial and economic data is not traditionally something that you would associate with the green transition, but there's something here that will help support the green transition also for the SMEs. If they have the tools to report and make transactions in a truly digital way, they will also have the tools to report and to have better transparency concerning environmental data, their CO2 footprint, or their waste, their use of plastic or packaging materials. And all of that will make their lives easier once EU legislation kicks in concerning, for instance, waste or textile traceability, for instance. So we're kind of trying to set the stage for the later developments in this area, the green area. And there's enormous potential here. Innovation alone, not just increased liquidity or the simplified administrative burdens or reduced administrative burdens, but the area of innovation here will be huge. In the Nordics, we already have some very thriving fintech ecosystems and some so-called unicorn companies, and there's clearly more to gain here in the next decade or so. So by 2027, Ernst & Young or EY estimated an annual gain of 14 billion euro annually. We have been traveling this journey first as a group of 5 business registries, but over the past years we've onboarded all the statistics agencies to varying degrees and the Nordic tax authorities to various degrees, as well as some ministries and other agencies in the Nordics. So we've been 17 or 18 authorities in this journey for the last 2 years, and it's been a hell of a ride, but we're really happy with this collaborative spirit, and we are happy to invite new stakeholders, especially from the private sector, to this collaboration forward. Finally, I would just encourage you to reach out to either the program managers Kersti Lunde or to the national managers whose contact information you see there. We have one for each of the Nordic countries. We're also in contact with Greenland and the Faroese Islands, and so we try to cover the whole region. And we are happy that we are also in contact now with Sirli, and probably we should get into contact with the other speakers at this conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. I'm just look this presentation materials, and I wanted much more time to think in more detail and all these tables and charts and everything. But now we have chance to see most of presentations at the moment on the screen, and we have some questions to ask and just comment briefly, because this time is equal money, you know. And I have first question to Andres, and of course Mats can later to comment briefly. But the question is that our authorities, I tried to read it slowly that you can follow the question. Are the authorities ready to deal with the detailed transactional data instead of aggregated data in the form of traditional reports? If you, Andres, got this question, meaning that, okay, please, have any opinion?
Yes, I would say that devil is in details. That means that actually Actually, we are very different. Actually, either to take transactional data on detail level or to do aggregation. I think we're doing in Estonia in a hybrid way. That means that we take information as minimum level is necessary. And if it is in aggregated level, we will use that kind of level. So it depends according to what kind of in with depth we need it. And I would say that from statistic office in Estonia perspective, we should provide enough secure and trust that they know that this information is only for statistic purposes and not for our aims. And therefore, we have our own law in Estonia. That means that the information that authorities gives to us, we can only use for statistics purposes and not in our. So, if an example, police comes us and asks that, okay, give us information how much this person has given opinion that he or she will get a salary. We are refusing because we have our own law and we can't give microdata or data out. We only use for statistic purposes. So I think it's just to summarize. For one side is how we build the trust that authorities and private sector can give information, and on the other side, this is not in that way that we always need data as in detail level. Sometimes it's easy to aggregate an example on monthly level or some other levels. So it should be definitely discussion between the authorities and need of statistics.
Okay, Mats, you had something to add. I see from your nodding.
Well, I totally agree, but I'd say that real-time economy is a paradigm shift away from aggregated reports and onto the microdata level. And I don't think we as authorities have quite grasped how much this brings us in control of data and how much value this will mean for our governments, for our societies. We're just scratching the surface.
Okay. Thank you. And Mats, I have one more question. How have you also have the plan in place on how to achieve the goals? Who will be the strategic partners, and will there be any mandatory regulation decisions, or it's going to be decision left for each country to make the how to achieve the goals? Very briefly.
Yeah. Well, the Nordic collaboration has no legislative mandate in and of itself. But that doesn't mean that the governments can't decide to take joint steps. And indeed, that is what we're seeing. We're seeing joint steps towards, for instance, revising accounting laws so as to make this to make it easier to step into the digital age and out of the age where you had ledgers and you had accounting books and you had a lot of paperwork. So that's one example of where we try to make this happen. And the strategic partnership, again, will be a joint collaboration of private and public partners. And each national team is currently planning out all of this. And we will soon invite private partners to come with input for the next couple of years.
Sure. Thank you. And Sirli, you agree with it, everything, yeah?
Yeah, sure. I agree with the statement that in real-time economy we move from aggregated and document-based data reporting to reporting-based to data-based reporting. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, we have a bit time for everything, but still, yeah, it's interesting. But I have some question in my mind, but let's say we have a final panel in the end. Thank you for the first session. Now we are going over to the next second session when we talked about the public. Now it's right time to turn to the private sector, and let's see what we will do, what we will see. So next session, you see two speakers already. You heard and saw Margus, but at first we're going over to the Andres Lille, and he will talk about a bit more this my company data, and because we are very short of time, I give you a chance to have yours speak and give us some good experiences and good mood, please.
Hello, I am Andres Lille, and I am working for Datadriven. My working fields are data analysis, system analysis, system architecture, etc. And I would like to introduce to you two topics today. The first is a project, Internet of Business. This is not only one project, this is a series of projects. We can say the IOB, or Internet of Business, is a program. But what it is? The Internet of Business is a concept, I can say. There are different topics, and also one project is ongoing at the moment. But the main idea or keyword is digitalizing data exchange between different parties. And we talk about e-invoices, XBRL, GL format, UBL formats, etc. There are different technical syntaxes and different things in this project. And a couple of words about the history of this program. We had first project in 2016 and 2017, and this was an international project. There were participants from Finland, from Estonia, from Latvia, and the main idea this project was implementing European e-invoicing standard in Estonia, in Latvia, in Finland. And we did a lot of work on this field. But the second project in this program, this is about the XBRL GL standard, and there are different analysis tasks and also development of a software solutions called My Company Data Service. I will introduce this service later, but about this last project. This is a one-year project. The budget is about 1 million euros, and There are also 9 companies from Estonia, 9 participants, and there are different roles in this project and these companies, but I am from Tieto Estonia, or Tieto Every. The new name is Tieto Every. Action plan of this project. We already analyzed XBRL GL standard and also mapped some parts of this standard to European e-invoice standard. We are developing developing my company data service in this project, and we have been working very well, and we also have some results in this project. But my company data service, this is a this is an interesting result of this second IOB project. Purpose of this service, mobility of transaction data. We can say that we have some kind of mobility today, but the semantics of the data in different systems are different, and the exchange of the data is not very fluent. The data are not very mobile. The second purpose, we provide a tool to submission the data to the government agencies, to tax and custom board, to Statistics Estonia, and this tool uses XBRL GL based data, and there will be a standardized interface between companies and government agencies. And the third purpose, my company data service provide data quality assessment services. You can put your data to the my company data service, and the data service will send you back a report about the quality of your data. And this part is also very, very important. And stakeholders of my company data service, as you can see in the picture, there are many accounting service providers in the future. Also third parties that are not accounting service providers, or also they are not government agencies or public entities. For example, different companies can read your data from my company data service, but only then when they are entitled to read the data. My company data service is a secure data store, and only permitted entities can read the data. Okay, and in the picture you can see also X-Road. One part of my company data service is X-Road connectivity, and in first version we implement data exchange with Statistics Estonia. You can send via My Company Data Service data to Statistics Estonia. What is My Company Data Service? This is a software solution, and users of these solutions can be different systems. There is no humans. Users are only systems, for example, ERP systems, Statistics Estonia, information system, etc. There is no user interface. This is only such invisible, seamless service between different parties. And My Company Data Service is not a central system for Estonia or for Finland. The service can be used in different companies. Of course, the company must be certified, or there must be such security level in the systems that the user can trust this service. It is very important. But the idea is that MCDS is not a centralized system. And the owner of transaction data can choose which is you can choose which is your service provider, and also you can choose who can read this data. Technically, the My Company Data Service is a small data warehouse. There are classic parts of this data warehouse. You can send the data to the warehouse, you can read the data from the warehouse, and also there are quality assessment or quality management system. For private sector, the data exchange with between different companies is very important, and this service is standard, can be standard for this data exchange. Also for private sector, service for assessing data quality. It is very important. And secure authentic data warehouse service. And we will use in this system special measures to make very secure all these data warehouse. And My Company Data Service between public and private sector, you can send your transaction data to via X-Road to public sector authorities. And you can use X-Road, but the costs of X-Road usage is only in My Company Data Service. You must not use the X-Road directly. This is X-Road based reporting channel for accountants. And for public sector, it is a very important feature also. The public sector can disseminate rules on the data via My Company data service. And these rules are machine readable. But this is very important. There is no web page. There is machine readable rules, and you can assess your data quality in My Company data. Effects of My Company data service. There are different challenges. For example, you can submit the transaction information, not only aggregated reports. This is a totally different situation as we have today. Also, there will be a question if you send microdata and the government authority generates so-called report, and from which moment the tax becomes chargeable. And if we talk about real-time economy, there might be such situation that we send only one transaction, and there maybe in the future real-time taxation. That means money exchange is quicker, maybe also the taxes are lower, and one idea was also that maybe we need new taxes. Maybe the value-added tax is not the right one in this situation. And of course, very big challenge for public authorities is the capacity of the data or record numbers that they can read, also must read if we use such reporting. And if tax and tax board receives today hundreds of thousands records or reports, then if you use My Company data service, they can receive much more data. And the positive side is that they also can make much more detailed and much more deeper analysis on this data. Okay. That is all for my side, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Andres. It gave me a bit more trust or something, or comfortable feeling that this system, what you talked about, is just a system. It's not handled by the human being. It's a system. It's a machine-readable system. But okay, we will have a panel quite after Margus' short, brief introduction, and then we will. I hope we will get all these answers, what in our mind or in my mind or your watcher's mind, and have some good discussions. But at the moment, Margus Tammeraja, your turn to introduce panel with some good data on the information, please.
So hello again, this is Margus Tammeraja here. And as a representative of accountants who are serving all those small and mid-sized companies, all around the world, then we at the moment are actually feeling the most of the administrative burden, because mainly it's us who is preparing all those monthly reports and is dealing with statistics and other requirements the regulators have put on SMEs. So the real benefits, what actually the entrepreneurs themselves will feel, would be like, how do I get, let's say, my cost savings? And can I get some, let's say, grants or subsidies faster if I have this detailed data available for the government and so on? So the actual benefits should be now, here, and quickly in my pocket. Otherwise, SMEs do not actually think about those, let's say, larger picture issues like real-time economy as such, or what the concept of data-driven reporting gives us, and so on. So basically, we have to bring those benefits faster to the market. And it was very good picture from the governmental sector, what is actually done infrastructure-wise, how to start implementing such systems. So I'm very pleased that Estonian Statistics has started this reporting 3.0, and this should actually be implemented also by tax authorities, so we could, in a couple of years' time, get rid of all those specific aggregated reports, traditional reports. This would be a huge benefit for accountants, and so the accountants could focus on not anymore compliancy and reporting, but actually advising the SMEs to do better business. Today, most of accountants waste their time on compliancy, and if we have all the data, and if this data is shared with government, then we could actually have a better detailed picture in what context my company is. Should I apply for some kind of grants or subsidies, or should I do something differently? And accountants have a better position to bring, let's say, CFO-like services to the smallest companies. So I see a lot of benefits, which is for accounting industry here. And of course, we should talk about fears. Everybody fears that if we have this detailed data somewhere in the, let's say, open accounting style database, then I would be like naked in front of government. So everybody could take a look at what I'm doing right now. But as Andres Lille from Tieto said, that there is no such thing as open database. And there will be no central database, which is the largest fear with all such initiatives. So the benefits for SMEs will be that you will actually provide better picture of how you are doing, and based on this picture, government and other society can actually help you to thrive. So I think these are the most important issues to consider if we go further with such initiatives. But I guess that would be pretty good introduction for our panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Margus. Thank you, Margus. And now you all are in the panel participants out on the screen, and we have short time, but please, very shortly, very briefly, introduce yourself, please, except Margus, because you have been twice on the screen. But let's go on in the row. Last one, Jaanus, can you briefly introduce yourself? Who are you and what's your experience in this field?
Hi, I'm Jaanus from Simplebooks. We offer accounting software for micro and small companies in Estonia at the moment, trying to expand. But anyway, I see our role in this project as to try to improve our clients' everyday accounting needs to make the data more higher quality and yeah, just make it more automated.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's it.
Andres Lilleste, it's in the corner down there.
Okay, my name is Andres Lilleste and I'm representing company named Fitech. Fitech is the oldest and biggest e-invoice operator in the Estonian market, and my personal experience has been last 15 years e-invoicing from SME segment to corporates and governments. So we are working on the formats, standardization, exchanging data between different partners, and this project, or this switching accounting data between different market participants. It's a very logical extension to our service package. So definitely a subject which is very interesting to us. Thank you.
I'm Kaido Heinsalu from Datadriven, and from the Internet of Business and real-time economy perspective, Datadriven in Estonia and actually in other countries as well has been quite long already involved with real-time economy project and vision creation and other initiatives. And in Internet of Business project, in the first project, Datadriven was in a role as e-invoicing operator, and which Datadriven is in Estonian market and other countries cross-border as well. But in this project, Datadriven is the main service developer, and yeah, we have this long history that Datadriven has in real-time economy. We want to make it happen in Estonian market as well, and that's why Datadriven is part of this project as well.
So, well, my name is Eero Kärik, and I represent Account Studio software company. And I must say that I'm really excited about this my company data system stuff. And why am I so excited? Well, we have been talking a lot about reporting and questions, but after all, reporting is, when it's done in an electronic manner, it's just one kind of IT system integrations. And we have tens and maybe hundreds of different integrations. And we must implement them, we must maintain them, and we must kind of reinvent wheel every time we do so. And once we have this system up and running, this is my company data, at least I hope it will be able to act as a general standardized platform for all these integrations between IT systems or business IT systems. And all this implementing new integrations will become just a standardized and trivial task. And it will be much easier and faster and cheaper to implement all these integrations. That's what actually I'm looking for to see in this project in the future.
Okay, thank you. And probably I can listen to everyone now, but I have one question for everyone. Let's see how fast we can answer. Maybe we can manage some other questions too. But the question is, do authorities have access to my company data and my company data and take whatever they want? Is this possible? Yeah, you say that it's machine readable, and you say Anders say that, but there's still, Margus said some threats from the SME side, or for myself, I manage some company and I know about accounting, but there is also something in my back, some questions that maybe I give some information, maybe someone who wants in the bank also there is can everyone, well, not everyone, but can see in my banking account, but is there any threats and problems? What's the obstacle from the company side for all this e-economy? Margus, can you start?
Yes, I would like to say that tax authorities in Estonia have several times told that we are against any kind of centralized database where everything is gathered, and somebody could be fearful that my data will be floating around. And this My Company data application, what we are working on right now, it is just a layer of formatting data into this XBRL GL format, and it is with the ERP vendors, accounting software providers. So it is the extension of already existing cloud-based accounting software. So there is no fear that some data will be freely publicly available somewhere, or even available to tax authorities or even statistics. So it's only whenever we send the data package to some authorities, then they will receive the data, not vice versa.
But still, we have e-voting long time. There's also a question about that. Is it transparent, and is everything it's under control, or maybe someone can move there inside something? If there is someone who programmed all this software or this system, there is someone can go inside the system, or I'm wrong? Is anybody want to ask? Just raise your hand or want to comment. Okay, Kaido, please.
Yeah, it's a common fear that if
I can listen to you. Sorry.
Oh, great!
I can listen to you. Yeah, yes.
I don't know anybody else listens to me as well, but yeah, in technology world. Or in technology means the people tend to afraid what they don't understand. But actually, in technology world, the information and data can be protected better and more than in I don't know, paper world or emails world, or let's say traditional reporting world. But it's a matter of making the systems and the services trustworthy and to be trusted, that the technology actually is used in a way that it protects its user, the information owner, and that's way is set up the My Company data service as well, that the information is controlled and owned by the company, by the information owner, not that anybody from the outside can come and surf among your data or take whatever they like, for example, authorities. It's still the information that you make available for some authority or some other party. This information can be used, can be seen, and the other information is protected in a way that the technology lets to the information be protected.
Someone wants to comment, or the other, I can another question, but because the question is then how it should be communicate to the SMEs or the companies, because how you can ensure companies that everything is okay and everything is as you just told, because people can have any threats and still. But Jaanus, what is your comment?
Yeah, as Margus said, we're not creating a centralized system, so that means that the My Company data will be implemented with each and every ERP separately, which basically means for the SMEs means that the data is protected and secured by the same company that offers them the software, which in cloud-based systems means that basically it's the same thing. In cloud-based systems, all your data is in servers somewhere anyways, and My Company data is just a layer between the data and the outside world. The same rules apply there. So that's it, yeah.
Yeah, Kaida can can comment.
Yeah, I just wanted to I totally agree, and eventually it's the matter of not understanding the technology in details, but trusting your service provider. It's as it is right now. The bookkeeping company, accounting software. You at some point you have to just trust it and not to trying to understand all the details. Otherwise, everybody would do it by themselves. But still, there is some point that you have to trust it. And in my company's data, it's the same way as it's right now already there in the on the market. That service providers, you have to the users and companies have to trust your service provider. If you don't trust it, you change it. For example, if you use Telia, for example, to provide your TV service, you just have to trust it that they don't listen through your TV microphone and so on. It's
yes,
it's a matter
I
of
agree.
trust.
I agree, but finally, it's going. You can trust your service provider, but finally, you have to trust your government, your country, your big leaders, because your Tieto or Telia don't use against you. But yeah, okay. But a question to Eero. I mean, you're not just sitting there. What do ERP vendors and their customers, the SMEs, can gain from switching to data-driven reporting?
Well, it's quite easy question actually. Both ERP
the question
vendors
is always
and
easy,
SMEs.
but answers, yeah.
Yeah, both can win a lot of time. Life can become much easier because we do not have to. Let's say on ERP point of view, we don't have to develop and program all different reports and formats and stuff and printouts and who knows what. We can just push a part of data we have to the system, and the report consumers can take what they are authorized to take. And for SMEs, for the end users of the system, it will of course mean that the entire process will be smoother and will be cheaper to have and faster to evolve and so on. So I cannot actually just in few sentences tell it all.
Yeah, but does it need from accountants more skills or something new what they have to learn, or they can manage how they manage? Because, for example, I'm using accountant service. I'm not have any accountant in my company, but I use the service. Do they need any other skills or whatever they need more?
Yes, they must become lazier than they are. Usually accountants are quite good in sending out reports timely, but once this system gets implemented, they don't have to do so.
If you say that they have to be more lazy, maybe I can fire my accountant at all?
Maybe if you are smart enough and not lazy enough to.
But it's everything. Yeah, okay. But if they are too easy, I have not so much accounting to do, and maybe I can do. Maybe that question not about myself. The question is, some companies can take over their accounting and they don't have to pay for the accounting service, Margus. And Kaido had raised the hand too, but Margus.
I don't think so. You need accountant for actually, let's say, they have to put all the details in place. And I think accountants are the only ones who have all the time and skill set to enter all these nice details, what is required for implementing data-driven reporting. And of course, translating the accounting data to managerial decision-based data is the role of accountants. So you can't fire accountants as such.
That's good. Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Before Kaido, you can comment. I have also a question to you. You can comment and then ask a question. Is my company data service usable in other countries besides Estonia? Can it be used for transactions across borders?
Okay, first a quick comment because it's really interesting the part that Margus just told and Eero as well. For example, if I take myself as a small entrepreneur, I pay for bookkeeping, accounting service as well, and I would like to see in the future that I don't pay half of the service fee for manual work that the accountant does for me. I would like to have accountant as a financial advisor for me, not like doing manual work for the money that I pay for the service. That I see is the future, that you cannot fire this accountant or just drop the service. You need it anyways, but you need it more like you get more value for the money you pay for it. This is my quick comment. Okay. But about this using my company data service other countries besides Estonia, yes, definitely. This distributed setup and the service logic that my company data has, definitely it's scalable and usable for other countries as well. And as well as my company data can exchange data inside some country, one country, for example, in Estonia, it can change information cross-border as well. So both your questions is yes and yes.
Yes and yes. Okay, thank you, Guido. And Andres has sit a long time quietly. It's not because your microphone is not working, it's working well, but the question is, concept of MCD, my company data, and e-invoices, is there any linkage and how it could work? Is there any linkage and how it could work also across borders?
Yeah. As ERPs are tightly linked to the project, then it's definitely positive, and then we are working in optimizing all the technology and so on. But in the same time, we have ERPs which are not connected to the platform, and in the same time, they may be companies who are using e-invoice sending or receiving through some e-invoice operator. Example is mobile phone, that you have the phone, but for the call you need the network also. So operator is the connector between different market participants. And here we see that yes, we can take your invoices, we can put them to your my company database. Is it now locally stored in our services or somewhere externally? It's again the same story that was described in the beginning, that it depends now your contract and your service provider. But as most of the invoice operators, they are not working in local markets only, but they are connected to the global world. They are connected to PEPL network, different countries, depends on the solution again. And there we can see that the potential for standard file that is also understandable and readable for the other parties. Is it now Latvia, Lithuania, or we take some Germany, or I don't know, we move to Serbia, for example. And if they are reading the same data in the same structure in the XBRL format, what we are working on, then definitely it's valuable. And if you have network which can deliver invoices, then it's just one additional message. Your company full data, what we will deliver, invoices plus your accounting data. So we see huge potential there, and especially again optimizing and avoiding this unreasonable manual type in part, but you take as an import file, not the manual work anymore.
Okay, thank you. Question to Margus and Eero. Real-time economy concept envisions that business transactions are posted at the moment data is entered available. How do we guarantee the correctness of those postings if they have to contain all the details necessary for reporting? I hope you got the question's meaning. Please, Margus.
Yes, I got the question. And as I said in my introductory note, then the most important issue is that we have the standardized classification registers and data field controls. If we have to enter a lot of more details, actually there's a lot of might mean just 3 or 2 extra fields to be entered. And actually those data fields can be checked against these publicly available classification item lists. So I think that if all accounting software vendors apply those controls in their systems, then it is a lot more easier than today to work with this new kind of real-time economy systems.
Okay,
Well, I
you
would
have
add
something
that.
to...
Yes, well, as long as there is human beings involved in the entire process, there will be mistakes and errors. That is unavoidable. And we as implementers of the system, we have to design into the systems also some kinds of mechanism of correcting mistakes and then finding mistakes, of course. It is unavoidable. But that will be done.
I started to think that Margus told in the introduction that in the beginning to this webinar that we have small and medium size enterprises, about more than 130,000 something. It's in Estonia, but from all of those, how many there's like in the very primitive accounting system that they're doing on the paper and doing very slowly, and it's okay when you have hired accountant or using accounting service, but it's probably from this 130,000 companies, there is also this kind who will struggle with all this e-economy and e-invoices and everything. Have you thought about that, how this system can help them? If someone wants to, yeah, Kaido, please.
Yes, the things that this real-time economy concept overall and the vision and the project that we are doing right now actually enables new service providers to be created on the market. And the more there are service providers, then more better and affordable services would be there on the market for small and medium enterprises as well. Currently, yes, there's this you hire a bookkeeper, or you implement a huge accounting software, or you take a service outside, which is expensive, quite expensive as well. But more and more this real-time economy takes place, the more we standardize transactions and information, the more there will be standardized services as well on the market, and this makes it like a more benefit and affordable for small and medium businesses as well.
It's of course quite normal or it's logical if the company dealing with banking transactions, but there is a lot of companies dealing with the cash. Is it different, or is it harder for them? Not just not money laundering I'm talking about, but there is a business like that. They have more cash activities. Is there any, like if we're talking about the e-reporting, then it's not it's in the hand. Is there harder for them, or is it no different? Just answer this. Someone wants to.
Okay,
yeah,
I can comment that as well. Yeah, it doesn't make it any harder or any easier. Just the technology is already there, as much as electronic reporting is already there. So yeah, eventually from at some point you have to start using a computer. You have to start using email if you haven't done it before. So for those companies who still like to do business in cash in some reason, or make some reports or accounting on paper, let's say it's they are important part of the market that we want to like transform to electronic world. But let's say they are not the main focus group of real-time economy. Real-time economy is for the companies who are already there using electronics technology and so on. And the aim is to make those electronic services and technology as usable as much as beneficiary for the parties that they want to use it. Not we have to like force them to use it.
But in some point, we maybe need to force too, because in some point everyone can should go over. But yeah, but Jaanus, you have stayed a long time quiet. When are the end users? We talk about small and medium enterprises going to gain the benefit it's discussed earlier. Does it need massive use before starting to see the benefits, or will the benefits are real right after starting the use of the My Company data service or real-time economy in large?
It's a bit difficult to predict when the masses actually see the benefits. I see that when we talk about My Company data, if we talk about that one of the first goals is to offer more automated reporting, then I think that is one of the cases where the small and medium companies see the impact and the gain already very soon. Actually, I think it's well, we actually do have electronic reporting already, as said before, and it just creates like a different new channel, which is done in a better way for the future. So, but it's difficult to say when all the micro companies and everybody is going to see like a larger benefit from this project or from the new standards.
Probably the micro companies don't see this benefit as compared with the big companies.
I think it's actually up to ERPs like ourselves. We try to empower even the micro companies with benefits that like maybe 10 years ago were just the domain of big companies who could afford like expensive software. We see that the government is also moving towards the goal that to make it affordable for the micro companies to be able to electronically report like their monthly reports, declarations, everything. And it's actually up to us to make it financially feasible for them. And we've done it like for 10 years for 10 years now. And I think this project also proves that we're trying to make their life easier.
Thank you. Last question from my list, and then last word to everyone. But question to Andres: what if my partner do not use My Company data service or other real-time economy services? Do you have to keep different system maintained for paper or digital transaction or not?
Basically, I think that the My Company data, it's not so much even between partners. It's about my own data, that how I can store the data and how I can share the data. Is it now tax authority? Is it some statistics report what I have to implement and send? And also in the future, we will have many services around it. But from the other hand, also the question is that, is it valuable for the SMEs? Basically, there are two models on the market. One is that you get an obligation, which means that there is a law which defines that you must send some data. And the other option is that the market is like self-established. So Estonia has now an option that we have started from the part that we try to self-establish it. If it's not working or there is a quite clear value in one point, then most probably there will be a law which defines that you can present your data only in this, let's say, XBRL format. But from the other hand, also that the SMEs, that do they have access to the market? And if the example was that they work on the cash, okay, let's them work, but they still have to have accounting and they still have to report to tax authority. So in one point there should be a tool, and on the market there are many tools which are already for free. If you are a small SME company, you don't need to pay even money for the accounting software. Every software has some free package available. The same solution or example is e-invoicing in Estonia, that it's an obligation that we must send B2G, or this government institutions can receive only e-invoices. Basically in 1 month, every company found a solution how to send. Before that, they said that it's impossible. So I think that in that project, we have the same situation. Now the question is that in one point, will it be an obligation by the law, or it will be like a self-established real-time economy solution?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. This, in one moment, you have to just send the e-invoices to the government companies. Yeah, that's true. But before I leave you and we will leave the webinar, I ask you, everyone, just one point or something to encourage those watchers and participants who are watching us or watching later. How to encourage people or in the companies to go over this system and to trust, because in the previous system today we heard several times the word trust. Yeah, you have to trust someone. Yeah, without trust we can't do anything. But something to encourage our webinar participants. Margus, want to start or finish?
I would like to start. I think the most important thing here is that this is a private and public sector partnership project. Both sides, private entrepreneurs and public governmental institutions, work side by side to establish this basically a paradigm shift, this data-driven reporting, going from traditional reporting, is a paradigm shift. And if both sides establish a trustworthy solutions which are beneficial for every stakeholder, every the smallest company, every citizen, then everybody should be happy.
I agree. Thank you. And we're going to next to Margus. Jaanus.
I see this as the next step in technology evolution. I mean, it's not the first time that we have to take a leap in trust and start trusting outside service providers. I mean, let's look at the social media. Maybe, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, nobody would have thought that everybody wants to share their personal data on the internet. Let's not even start with the Alexa and what's those other systems. But today they're quite normal and nobody has issues with them. And I don't think company data is really that personal. There are strategic concerns to be considered, but I think it's just a matter of time till people get used to it. It's
in some point it's just a new normality. It's you can't even think another way. But yeah, okay. Thank you, Jaanus. We are going Eero.
Well, what can I say? Don't be afraid. We system developers, we will do the heavy lifting and we will develop all the systems, and I believe the systems will be as trustworthy and as easy to use as internet banking or email sending is, and the impact they will have is also, I believe, comparable to the systems. They will actually change a lot. We cannot, for example, think of going to bank office as we did a few years ago. And believe me, this my company that after 5 or 10 years will replace a lot of communications and make it much faster and much easier. And it will be safe enough. Don't worry.
I'm not worrying, but maybe someone worrying. But still, thank you. And Kaido.
Yes, it's a good thing that it's a new normality. For example, several decades ago, nobody probably thought that they keep their life savings inside some computer or technology box. So yeah, currently we see as well that there are laws, there are like processes, there are like lots of legacy that keeps us or doesn't let us think outside the box. But the fact that everything is working right now doesn't mean that it couldn't be better and like changed in the future. I'm talking about laws, processes, and so on and so on. So the encouraging point is that don't think if don't let the fact that everything is working really smoothly in your company at the moment, don't let it be like obstacle thinking that in the future it's not changing. So it's better to come along and think along with this change, just to like be the last one who is implementing it. So yeah, this is the encouraging point from my side. Come along and think along, then it makes the whole process and concept better.
Yeah, but still, if there are happening one next storm in Estonia in south or something where and everything it's dark and no electricity, then what's then happen? But still, there will be some recovering just faster than previous time. But still, yeah, Andres, final words.
Final word is that let's take it as an opportunity and let's not spend too much time on thinking that what are the threats there. Let's try to take the positive part of it, and I definitely see a huge potential there. And the other part is that if you have a partner, then you are doing it with your partner. Ask the question: is it about security, the trust, data format? I don't know, whatever you have the question. And if you don't like the answer, then you have always option to select another partner. In Estonia, we have enough ERPs, software providers, e-invoice operators. And if you don't like local service provider in one point, then the market is moving to every direction. So you can say, take a company from Finland, from Latvia. You have so many opportunities nowadays. So in Europe, they use the single digital market as an idea. And I think that here it's a good example of this building foundation for that.
That's the great words to finalize our webinar. And as Sirli also told, that we have more quality time with our family to just feel good and spend more time. And thank you all the participants who was in the webinar. Now we're enjoying our relatives and the closest one, and don't worry. Trust the partners, and thank you for joining us in this webinar. I hope that you got enough answers to your questions. It's mostly important that everything is going further, and world is changing every time, every second. And now it's in next time will be new normality, that everything is in our computer and going easily, and we are just can spend more time with our closest one. Thank you.